Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is Pamela with Danny, and we are getting ready to go over uh, our Let's Talk segment of my show. We're going to Let's Talk. We're going to talk about Keisha K. Orr in Gucci, Mane. Is she a caregiver or is she a handler? What we're going to do is we're going to go over and we're going to review the clips. And then we're going to talk about it. We do not have the full show because ain't nobody got time to get copyrighted like that. However, we will go over the clips. Now, I will tell you all that these are our opinions. They're not necessarily based in any type of fact. We are reacting to the clips that we see, and while we're reacting to the clips that we see, we're also going to put in some information in regards to the different mental health diagnoses that are going to be discussed and talked about. Okay, let me make sure I got all my stuff up here. Let me put that up. Here we go. The views and opinions expressed in this video represents my own thoughts and concerns and analysis. I don't know these folk. I don't know them. I don't know them professionally or personally. So we are just going to be sitting up here stating our opinions, allegedly, and y'all going to have to be good with that. Also, let's see. I got to get my other stuff up here, child. While I was in there doing all that other stuff, I should have been pulling these things up. We got that. Okay, we're good. All right. So, Danny, you want to introduce yourself for folks that may or may not know you?
Hi. I'm Danny, and I do this and that, including powwow with my friend Pam whenever we're texting and calling each other about pop culture stuff. And there's just so much to talk about. And we just decide, you know what? Let's do it on YouTube and see what everyone else thinks.
Exactly. Let me change my camera and see if I can get up a little bit in the. I hope it changed. Where'd it go?
Yeah, it's weird because like now, I think it looks fine. But then sometimes I'm too far back or too close up. I can't really tell. So I'm just like, whatever.
I don't see me.
Now I don't see you at all. No, it's black.
Huh. Well, let's go back to the other camera. There.
Yeah, it went black. So I don't know.
Y'all, we're gonna get started. We just like to kid around. So I got Blue already down in the comments putting hold what we talked about, and so I've got Danny on restriction from the comments.
It was my suggestion because I get a little distracted. So I don't see anything you guys are saying.
So I got her on restriction from that. So this is what we'll do. I'm gonna pull up. Who do you want to start with? Kevin McCall, Gucci, or Kirk Franklin's Den of Kings?
Let's start with the low-hanging fruit, which is Kevin McCall.
All right, let's get you.
Now, to be clear, I don't know a lot about any of these people. I do know who Kevin McCall is. I have seen him on Ayanla Fix My Life. I do know that he's Eva Marseille, however you pronounce her last name, ex-husband or baby daddy. I do know he's a crash out. That's about enough of what I know. That
everything.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't really know all of his producing credits. I know he's done stuff for Chris Brown because that's kind of where this conversation is coming from, that recent Chris Brown rant he had. Same goes for Gucci Mane. I couldn't name one song that he sang. I might have heard it, didn't know it was him.
Right.
I vaguely know about his situation currently. I'm only commenting on current events. I've been kind of sort of doing a crash course on it, but it's not connecting. So I'm more unbiased than I am biased on any of this stuff. I'm just stating what I know, and based on what I know, my reaction to this stuff. So go ahead.
All right, so here you know just as much. So he was on he was on a podcast. I don't know what's the name of this podcast. He is a crash. Now, from what I understand, again, allegedly, they're saying that he has a I don't know if they call it this still, a bipolar diagnosis, if I'm mistaken. But anyway, let's go over what he says and what he's doing. And this whole situation and how he became viral on the internet this past week.
Can I get 25,000 for them four songs I owe you, bro? I just want to leave.
It's kind of low. The audio is kind of low. And you're still blank, Pam. We can't see you. I don't know.
What'd you say?
We still can't see you, and the audio is really low on this.
Oh my! Hold on. Let me see if this works. Don't leave. Just give me. I'm just gonna reload. Hold on.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I hear and see you now.
Very good. I just had to reload it, child. My computer seems like if I put too many tabs, it gets to acting crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thank you because that's why I have to keep I don't have all those tabs open like I used to anymore.
Yeah.
Because my computer
it'll
start freezing. So if it does that, y'all let me know. All I do is just reload it.
Or you guys can crowdfund a nice Apple computer for Pam. There's still time. All right, go ahead.
Okay, let's see if I'll turn this up. I'm gonna make sure everything is turned up.
It was good. When you clicked.
This is a buster. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
When all the
ain't no scoop.
Tyrese is a buster. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
When all the homies.
Hey, I'm on. Can you name?
Why the fuck I got an EBT card? And this is at Breezy, bro, and made 90 whatever the million, and it say KKKKK Matt. Can I get 25,000 for them four songs I owe you, bro? I just want to leave, bro.
Leading up to who he is.
I'm not even tripping though. I got an EBT card, my nigga. Like, what the fuck? I can't even get nothing, bro, man. Y'all want to see me cry in here, so y'all can think I'm a bro. That ain't fair.
Hey,
I'm on EBT, bro.
Hey,
that's why.
Hey, look, bro.
I'm down, bro. I'm on EBT, smack. Look. Say my name, bro. That shit is better. I had to go up in there by my face with a mask like COVID, bro. Why the fuck I got an EBT card? And this is at Breezy, bro.
So that's one clip. And we're going to go over 2 or 3 more. So give me 1 second to see if I can pull these up. Let's see.
Okay, full disclosure. This is my first time seeing all of these. I did see that I got an EBT, but it was more like a quick 10-second thing. I didn't see all the crying and I didn't see all that. So, yeah, this is crazy. Okay.
So this young man is giving us a pretty big breakdown about what's going on. So let's go ahead.
And called out Chris for making millions on his Breezy Bowl tour. On Monday, October 20th, Kevin McCall, who co-wrote and appeared on Chris Brown's 2010 hit Deuces, broke down in tears on the Back on Fig podcast after revealing he's been on government assistance through the EBT program.
Why the fuck I got an EBT card? And this is at Breezy, bro, and made 90 whatever the million, and it say KKKKK Matt. Can I get 25,000 for them four songs I owe you, bro? I just want to leave, bro. That ain't fair.
Hey,
I'm on EBT, bro.
Hey.
That's why.
Now the clip spread fast, even catching Young Thug's attention, who said he'd send McCall $25,000 and added that he knows Chris would help too. Not long after, Chris appeared to respond on his Instagram story. Remember this, you can't walk across a burnt bridge. And you know what's funnier than a troll? A broke one. Now the tension between the two actually goes back over 10 years. While it's unclear what started their fallout, they've exchanged words online multiple times through tweets and videos. So what's your take on all this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Chris Brown has seemingly responded after Kevin.
So I'm gonna stop at those 2 clips. What do you think so far?
Okay, so they're both crash outs. To be fair, Chris Brown definitely got the light skin privilege when it comes to the crash out crew. Cause neither one of them can criticize the other. The only difference is Chris Brown is the actual talent, front and center talent, and he's clearly, well, we already know he's made some very wise investments outside of his music career. And despite much controversy that should have completely buried him, he's made a very respectable and I dare say impressive comeback. Kevin McCall, and again, before we start, we are also not licensed mental health professionals. Pam is a licensed social worker. I am a licensed educator and licensed caregiver of people with mental and developmental disabilities. So we do have our individual expertise, but we are not psychiatrists that diagnose people. But we do know when we see crazy. Crazy, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. So that being said, first of all, there were no tears. So that's what was extra weird for me. And just awkward. Like I said, I didn't see past the EBT part because it was more like they made it more like a GIF than like the whole video. This was my first time seeing the whole clip, and it was very uncomfortable, very awkward. I couldn't tell if he was really crying or if he was playing around or trying to be. I don't know, but there's clearly a mental health issue there.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Well, that was the alleged. Now, I will tell you what I saw. I saw an attention seeker wanting attention at any means necessary. Because let me just explain this, because I watched most of this video and most of it. He wants you to feel a certain way about the decisions that he made. Now, I clearly understand. I've seen a couple of interviews with him previously. And one of the things that I can empathize is the fact that they go into this business and you go in with a talent, but you don't go in with the necessary business acumen, and people can take advantage of that. And I clearly can empathize with that. However, this man talks about he had been paid hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars and blew those hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, he's saying that Chris Brown owes him $25,000 for some songs. I don't know if that's true or not. If I am to assume all of that is true.
Why didn't you sue?
Number one, that's my number one thing. If you knew that he owed you this money, why didn't you do that? I think the problem and here's the thing. Now, this is what I hear other artists that even with all the mess with Rihanna and all, because Chris Brown does not have, in my opinion, good relationships with women like that. Maybe his two daughters or stuff like that, but in romantic relationships, somebody's getting their head put between the washers and dryers. And I just need for somebody for us to be very, very real. Is
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Is he a talented artist? Of course he is. Can he make you dance? Of course he can. But one of the things that from what other artists are saying about Chris Brown, and we heard it in regards to what Young Thug said, that if he would have come to Chris Brown straight up, Chris Brown would have given him the money. The issue and the problem that Crash Out Brown has with Crash Out McCall is the fact that Crash Out McCall had made threatening remarks to Crash Out Brown's children. He did. And that is a line drawn that Chris Brown is not going to go back over, because we know Kevin McCall has a child with Eva Marcel, and I don't know, that relationship is so strange that
it's bad. Yeah, it's really
I
bad.
think at one point she was trying to get his parental rights terminated because that relationship was estranged. Yeah. But from that clip, and and this is probably, I think I have one more that we're going to watch. But from those clips and from what I watched from that thing, I just think that's it. Because and mind you, you're talking about the last time he worked with Chris Brown was 2010, between 2020 and 2013.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
And so that's a long time to still be worried about. And like I said, your money is your money. Don't mishear me, y'all. But at this point, Chris Brown ain't finna give you that money. So, you need to move on. You've got talent, but you're spending a lot of your time going on these podcasts, which I know they're not paying you. Going on these podcasts, crashing out, crying, and seeking attention. And you could be in the lab. You could be working. But also, again, allegedly, from what I have heard and the little stuff that I've gone, and again, this is off the blog, so that's why it's got to be allegedly, is the fact that he doesn't have good working relationships with a lot of folk too.
Yeah.
And so, all I'm saying to you all as young folks is, it doesn't matter how talented you are. It does matter. Let me go back. It matters how talented you are, but if you do not have these social cues and the graces to be able to move about in any of these lanes that you're going through, you can't be cussing folks out. You can't be doing all these things just because you're talented. No, you're only going to make it so far.
And the thing is that I don't know if I ever told you, but my dad was in the entertainment industry. And I also told you that we grew up poor and crack infested Harlem. But that speaks to exactly what you're saying, because he was extremely talented. I'm talking in the 80s and 90s, he played with everyone from Billy Idol to Levert to Bobby Brown to New Edition, Mary J. Blige. I mean, everybody who, Jodeci, everybody who was somebody he played with. He had endorsement deals for, drums and equipment. He was traveling the world doing everything. But he was a crash out and a cokehead after a while. And what you're saying is so true. Your talent can only go but so far. When you allow your ego and your lack of emotional control to outshine your talent, nobody cares what you're able to do, because at the end of the day, they can find another you and not have to deal with those personality issues.
Hold on just 1 second. Say that again.
They can find another you and not deal with those personality issues, because at the end of the day, Negroes with talent are a dime a dozen.
Thank you. I needed you to say that and be very clear up there, because I want us to be very clear about that. Now, this is the last video of Mr. Kevin McCall that we're going to listen to. And I think this is where I heard all the information about his daughter. All right.
Ever help Kevin McCall? 3 things Kevin did have left him completely furious. Kevin once produced Chris's hit songs, Deuces and Strip, and the two were once like brothers. But now, Chris would rather be exposed on his podcast for his indifference than offer any more help with his bankruptcy. This is because Kevin did 3 things that completely crossed Chris's line. First, he threatened Chris's daughter. In a frenzied social media live stream, Kevin not only cursed Chris, but also specifically threatened her life by mentioning royalty, which completely infuriated Chris. Second, he's paying the price for hurting Eva Marcille. Kevin deeply hurt his ex-fiancée, Eva Marcille. Chris had privately urged him to calm down, but Kevin ignored him. Whatever he did to others, he's now coming back to haunt him. Finally, he constantly publicly discredits Chris on his podcast. In multiple interviews, Kevin has called Chris ungrateful and even implied that he manipulated contracts and owed money, trying to convince the public that they were being exploited. He even publicly threatened to drive Chris bankrupt. This blatant provocation. No wonder Chris...
So that's the end of that. That is the reason that Kevin McCall and Chris Brown are at ease. Now, I did want to put this up. Do I have it?
But 12, 13 years, man, you're still going like what? That's how you know that there's a mental health issue. Because in 12, 13 years, you could have literally found another act to make money on.
And also too, that again, like I said, these are my opinions. It seems as if there was a point where Chris was like, hey, okay, let me do this. Let me get you some stuff. Let me do this. Let me do that. And then, like I said, there was that line draws once you, because he would crash out on IG Live. He would crash out on IG Live a lot. That's where I remember seeing him.
I'm surprised as much as Chris Brown stayed getting locked up for beating. Didn't he just get locked up over the summer in London for hitting somebody?
Yeah, over the head
As
with a
much as he
champagne bottle.
stayed putting hands on people, I'm really surprised that Kevin ain't caught a case yet.
Well, well, Kevin better be grateful. He better be grateful.
Because I'm just like, Chris Brown got itchy hands, and he'll slap somebody in a minute, and you lucky. Because talking about somebody's kids that's enough. You don't really have to do anything else.
Right. So I would just tell you, I wanted to go over that, highlight that, because again, Kevin McCall is one of these young men who every time I see him, it's almost like a rant and a rave. And Chris Brown name always comes up in this rant and rave. And like I said, they sound like they at one point were close, and then they separated, and he's blaming Chris Brown for all of his downward spiral. Because I heard him in an interview, and he was talking about how he made all these hundreds of thousands of dollars. And
I thought he said, maybe I misheard. I thought somebody said 8 million.
He may have made that money. I just remember him saying that when he initially started working in this business, he got cut a check for like $100,000, and he was like, I was scared because I had never seen that much that type of money before in my life, and he didn't know what to do with it. And of course he didn't. He's a young guy from the hood. No one has taught him money management or any of those things like that. You're getting around, you're young, and you're in Hollywood, and you're around a lot of young guys that are spending money, and not looking at the fact that these people are probably spending money and it's not their money. They're probably getting loans on a business. It's a whole lot of stuff.
Or just record label advances that they can't pay back if they don't do the sales.
If they don't do the stuff. So it's a lot of that. So you're doing all of that. You're able to get the cute girl at the moment and stuff like that. And then there's that underlying issue of some mental health issues that's not being addressed, that's not being looked after for whatever reason. And now you see this crash out. And the only time that you get help is when you're standing in front of the judge and the judge is saying all this other stuff. But any other time, you're just walking around wanting to crash out, and there is no one around you to say, hey, look, stop, settle down. I hear what you're saying, but the way that you're going about this thing and how you're moving is not assisting, is not helping. No one is listening to the stuff that I can agree that you're going through in regards to your money and your issues, but you can't be threatening nobody's kid. You can't be on here calling your ex everything but a child of God, talking bad, because he was talking nasty about his own child. You can't do all of that and then people look at you and say, oh, you're somebody that I want to be able to assist with your money situation, because as soon as I assist you and I don't assist you the way you think I should assist you,
right,
you're gonna crash out on me. So yes, you gotta learn how to be emotionally regulate the stuff. Write stuff down, just little tips. Write stuff down, what it is that you want. I'm serious.
Because remember in elementary school we had to fold the paper in half. Column A, column B,
and write all that down.
Or do the 3 columns, fold it 3 times, do the columns,
and then do the because. And I will say this, and you can say, "Oh, well, I'm not a writer." I'm sorry, but you have this little apparatus right here. You have this little apparatus right here, which has a notes app. And you can definitely talk in that little notes app.
Yeah.
All the stuff that you need or things that you need to have done. You don't have to have an English degree to do any of the things that you need to do nowadays. Right. And look at that stuff and figure out and ask for help. Figure out who could be able to help you with a certain situation.
ChatGPT could give you all the advice in the world.
I don't know now because ChatGPT just anyway. Help somebody prune themselves from the timeline. But
I did see that, and the parents are trying to sue, right?
I believe they are, but I'm like,
they said it told the kid not to talk to them or something. I don't know.
It's a mess. I told y'all about. I've done a couple of videos now because, like I said, I like AI is a resource, but when you're using this AI for this mess of doing, and watch this, y'all. Danny told me to reel her in and watch her have to reel me in because now I'm fixing to get in on this doggone AI crap. I don't mind AI to use as a tool to assist you, just like you said. How do I go about getting my money on from royalties or stuff like that? Issues, no problems. I have issues when you are taking dead people's images and putting them in real world situations today like they're not
Like they're
deceased.
not dead. Yeah,
And that's
creating whole. Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
just because you can do it, you shouldn't do it. It's disrespectful. I'm looking at the fact that y'all were pulling up Michael Jackson and Biggie. You all act like these men didn't have children that are looking at
Right.
this family. Michael Jackson's mama is still running around here. Biggie's children are still running around here, and you all are being very disrespectful by putting their images out. You got Tupac out here. You got
Martin Luther King.
Martin
They
Luther
stopped that
King.
though.
You've got they're putting all these images, and the issue that I have with those AI images and stuff like that, you notice how it's always black folk. You're teaching this computer to get real good about doing the images of black people. And like I said, y'all are using this and thinking it's ha ha he he funny, but watch what I tell you. They're going to amalgamate some fake black person and say that this black person tried to do something to these white people, and then you're going to have all these types of stuff, and it's going to be one of these fake AI type situations that are going on.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They really need to get a handle of that. Like I said, AI helping you and assisting helping you search the web to pull up
Or write
information.
something, or a prompt, a writing prompt, fine. But like you said, they should not be creating full
Images.
and
Yeah.
videos, and because
video.
because you can usually spot it, but like the Michael Jackson one looks real.
Oh yeah. Oh
The
yeah.
one that I've seen recently looks real.
And then people are not paying attention to the psychological things about it, because I don't know who I was talking to, but I was ranting and raving about these little babies. I don't know, they were doing these toddlers. You remember how
they're cussing and they're saying things like,
and my point in that while I was ranting and raving, I said, because I can't remember who it was they were doing. I think it was a Glorilla. And you had this little it's 7 p.m. Friday, it's 95. They had this little toddler doing that. And I said, what pisses me off about that is they already adultify black women, and they adultify them very young. And here you have someone depicting, and like I said, the baby looks quite real. You have this baby depicting like they're Glorilla, doing all of these little dances and doing all this stuff. And I'm saying, see, that's my issue and my problem, because you don't see them doing the little white girls like that.
Nope.
You don't see them doing the little Asian girls like that.
And then they keep doing the Real Housewives of Atlanta and the babies, and it's all black stuff that they're doing. The only one that I saw that was white was Judge Judy. But then they do the cases with the black people. So it's just like, it's weird.
I'm just like, no, I don't. And like I said, we got to learn how everything is not a he moment. We got to really look at the psychological impairments that we're doing and people around us, because people already hate us, whether they skin folks or not. They don't like us for real, for whatever reason, and they feel like they have a carte blanche to be able to talk about us as Black Americans the way that they want to talk. And so I'm gonna reel myself in. Gucci and Keisha or Kirk Franklin and the Den of Kings?
I'll do Gucci and Keisha, because that Den of whoever, it was too much. So yeah, let's do Gucci and Keisha. Like I said, I personally, you could play something and I might say, oh, okay, I know that song. Was that him? Never bought a song of his, never streamed a song of his. I personally do not remember any of his songs. I might have heard it, didn't know it was him. Don't know who she is. I've been kind of sort of getting Cliff's notes over the last few days. I do know that she's Jamaican, born and partially raised, that she has some other kids that are still in Jamaica, because I keep seeing people ask about that, like why she still doesn't have her original set of kids that I'm thinking are still either not adults or very young adults that should still be with their mom. And yeah, that's all I really know. I know the recent-ish controversy about him talking about his recent diagnosis with schizophrenia.
Okay, hold on. What I'm trying to do is pull them all up, and then we'll go through them all.
Okay, so while she does that, I do recall commenting on a post. It's a lady that I follow, Caprice or something, whatever her name is. I like her. She makes a lot of really solid points. But this particular post, I did not agree with her on. She basically was admonishing all the people that had something negative to say about the most recent interview they did. I did not see that interview. But apparently there was a lot of backlash where people were saying that she's trying to control Gucci Mane and that she is manipulating him. I call it weaponizing his mental health, or weaponizing one's mental health, someone's mental health. So that's where most of the buzz is coming from. But I'm thinking that it's coming from the fact that a lot of people believe that she is using him or has used him. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it helped that apparently in the interview, she supposedly said that he had been behaving this way before they got married. So a lot of people that are on the Keisha bandwagon, again, I don't know her. I don't know who she is. I wouldn't recognize her if I ran into her at the airport. Once Pam puts her up, I'll say, okay, that's her. But you could not ask me to point her out. It seems as though most women and a good deal of men have a negative opinion of her. I don't know why. I don't know her. But the thing that did throw up a red flag for me, again, I have not seen the interview, but the fact that it was relayed that she, out of her own mouth, said that he had been behaving schizophrenically prior to diagnosis, because didn't they just get married?
They've been married a minute because he was in jail. So this is what I know about Gucci Mane. I don't know. It's like I said, I don't know a song that he sings. I may have heard a song. You have to tell me it's him because
right.
Anybody after Lil Wayne all sounds the same to me. I don't know.
Who. Right.
But it's my understanding that he helped discover a couple of artists, Nicki Minaj being one of them. But he had gone to jail. He had gone to jail. He had 3 years, and they said that Gucci was a crash out, and
because he's schizophrenic. Yeah.
That he was, but prior to this, that he was a crash out. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I remember about him is the interview that he did on the Breakfast Club with Angela Yee, and he kept saying Angela Yee was trying to get with him and all this other stuff, and she was really looking a little befuddled because she's like, "What are you talking about? We've never." Mm-hmm. And I mean, he had a whole scenario, and when he was saying it, he had his little glasses on, and he was sitting there talking and everything like that. Oh, she did all that stuff, and Charlemagne and Envy, they not serious about nothing. And she was talking, and she was like, you could tell that she was weirded out. Mm-hmm. And then it didn't make it any better that her two co-hosts were gossipy Susans, and they were just walking back and forth thinking that there was some tea that she hadn't told them. And it was just like she looked uncomfortable. He was just talking, and it was like he was getting this perverse happiness by seeing her squirm in her chair. I remember that. I remember that, that they were saying that, he was a crash out, they believed that Gucci was going to do something. People believed that Gucci was going to do something. Mm-hmm. And, he was heavier set then and everything. He goes to jail. He comes out. He is like 30 or 40 pounds lighter. He is eating much better because he got out of jail, and then he went with Keisha. And then, you didn't see him maybe like another year. When you saw Gucci, he was much slimmer. His face looked brighter. He used to look real ashy. I guess I have to pull up a picture so you could see it, compare and contrast. But he used to look real dead in the face. His skin looked dead and all this other stuff. So when he got with her, people were saying that That's not Gucci. That's a clone. What happened to Gucci?
Yeah, I just see comments. That's just stupid. I can't
They were
stand that kind of talk.
they were like, that's a clone because he's not acting like the Gucci. Well, we didn't know at the time that even when he was doing all that and then went to jail, we didn't know at the time that he had been diagnosed with schizophrenia. So all of that stuff that they were seeing with Gucci and they were recognizing as Gucci was part of his illness.
And then you got to also remember that's part of, and I always joke, but I'm very serious when I say it. You can always tell fans or whatever you want to, enablers that don't or didn't have role models growing up. Not everybody had a perfect family. I'm one of them. But there's always someone, even if it's not the people in your house, there's always someone, teacher, pastor, firefighter, cop, aunt, uncle, church mother, that can steer you in the right direction and be a role model. There's always somebody, unless you're in the foster care. But even in the foster care system, there's always somebody that can kind of put you on the right path if that's the type of person that you are. Exactly. And there's so many people out here that just don't have role models and that they look to these celebrities as if what they see is what they're seeing. And you don't understand that these are celebrities, these are entertainers. Whether he has schizophrenia or not, whatever he was doing was selling records. Whatever your favorite actor or actress is doing is selling their respective movies, TV shows. So you cannot sit there and put all your money on the fact that these are the actual people that they're presenting themselves to be. True story. Okay.
And let me add on to that. You all have to understand that these are musicians and these are actors, and they know how to play a role. What you see is not who it won't be in totality who they are. And let's just be real. Just like, when you see when Nicki Minaj gets out on the internet and she starts talking and doing stuff like that, she's got a fan base that enables that. They're just like enable. They love it and they keep enabling. And no one is like, hey, just you don't have to respond to that. You don't you don't have to go out this far. What's really going on? What's going on? They don't do that. They don't ask those questions and they just allow for her. And then I don't know if I can tell or not, but you can tell that someone has talked to her at the other side of it, because she'll just try to give you this calm pseudo intellectual speak about such and such. You can tell that somebody talked to her, but you can tell that the people are enabling her, and particularly when she's in that mode to go off and stuff like that. Just like, and Cardi B is the same way. To me, they are just two sides of the coin. I'm sorry, they're the same thing. Cardi tries to cover it up with humor and stuff.
And the fact that she has a better personality overall.
Yeah,
but they're both crash out.
But they're both the same. They're both the same to me.
Right. Pretty much.
You can't say anything to them. They'll get all upset and then turn around and spew out all of this venom to somebody else for whatever reason that they spew the venom out. Am I saying that what they're talking about, they don't have, that it didn't happen? I'm never going to say that. But I'm saying that even if these things happen, there's got to be a way that you regulate yourself so that when you talk to people and when you go for assistance, for help, that's why I say write it down, because sometimes you can't speak it, but look, this is what's going on, and give them the paper. See, this is what I am talking. This is what I'm trying to explain. I wrote it down the other day, and this is what I'm trying to explain to you that happened to me. I can't speak it like I want to, and say those types of words so people can understand that you're not trying to argue with them. But let's go ahead and watch these clips real quick. Where are we? I'm doing so much better with my computer skills, I promise. All right, so I've got them. I don't have them in any particular order. We're just going to listen to what they're saying, and we're going to go over. I'm going to play them all at one time, okay? Okay. And let me know if you want me to stop.
What was your mind frame during verses? And Keisha, when you knew he was doing verses against somebody that was his arch enemy at the time, right? What was your mind frame? Because you knew at any moment it could have went bad.
Did you want him to do it?
I told him not to.
She said
I said, you're not. Let me explain that real quick, because you know about verses, right?
When they have competing, because then they just do a Cash Money one with
they just did Cash Money. So he did verses with what is that the Asian girl's husband's name? Jeezy. And him and Jeezy, they didn't get along. Okay. And I don't know who set that up, but when you watch that verses, there was so much I'm serious. There was so much tension. I really thought bullets were gonna fly.
Damn, really?
It was that much tension.
This was all during the pandemic, right? When Versus was
when Versus was hot.
Okay.
So this was
about I've only seen a couple of them.
Baby, this Versus, because they did it in a strip club somewhere, Magic City in Atlanta. They did it in a strip club, and like Jeezy's people were over here and Gucci's people were over here, and baby, they was standing over there. Everybody was bopping to the music, but it was so tight, and they was looking at each other. And then Jeezy and Gucci would say stuff to each other, and it would be like, "Oh Lord, is somebody gonna get smacked?"
Grand opening, grand closing.
Exactly. I was like, Lord, we do not need to be on IG Live watching people up the Magic City.
Doing that, I said, I will pay you $1 million not to do this.
She told me that. Swear to God, she's like, I pay you $1 million not to do the verses. I'm like, I'm gonna do the verses.
So how did for people that don't know, how did that verses come about, and what was your mind to do the songs that you did in that moment? Because I mean, I think everybody felt it watching, and people that were they were like, oh, this is gonna end up nasty.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think. I seen an interview where Jesus was saying like, if I do a verses, I want to do it with Gucci, right? So after that, P had hit me like, bro, you heard Jesus say he want to do a verse with you, would you do it? And I was like, I don't know if I do no, I don't know if I want to do no verse. I ain't really there yet. Then he came back like, bro, I think this would be big if you do it. So next thing you know, Swiss and Larry Jackson end up hitting me, and we end up we're gonna do the verses, right? And my mind frame going into it was like I was excited about it, like because all the previous verses was so big. So I'm like, man, it's dope. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be big for me. Everybody gonna be like, my catalog gonna go up. People gonna I was excited about it.
Now when actually, Jeezy said he said here on Breakfast Club he wanted to do it with you, but you turned it down. That's what that conversation was. That was back in 2020.
I don't think I turned it down. I think I turned down doing verses, period. But I was open to do the verses. When they finally like broke it down to me, like, okay, this the business about it. This how all this good can come out of it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it.
And Keisha, you didn't want him to do it because you knew he could potentially have an episode? Or
no, I just don't trust it. I don't know. God forbid GC go say the wrong thing and things pop off. I ain't got time.
Where were you when he was doing the verse?
I was pregnant at home. No, he didn't want me there.
So you were watching it?
Yeah, my hands was wet, sweating. I'm nervous. I'm like, Lord Jesus, help me.
So when he
did
that song, what were you thinking when he did that song? When he did that song, like, oh my goodness.
I'm just like this, like any normal person. I'm in the bed watching it like everybody else, scared.
You said that you were happy that Jeezy took the moment to kind of shift the energy a bit.
I would say, in hindsight, I'm like, I respect the way he did what he said. You know what I'm saying? And you know what he said made sense. You know what I'm saying? But at that moment, in the moment, like in the heat of the moment, I wasn't thinking like, I'm happy he said that. In the heat of the moment, I was just like, man, what is he talking about? You know what I'm saying? Let's get on to the what we doing. But when I look back on, I'm like, that was smart. You know what I'm saying? That was smart, and it was deep.
Yeah. Did y'all speak before y'all did the verses personally?
Yeah, we did.
Or y'all did speak beforehand?
Yeah.
How was that conversation? Was that the first time y'all spoke throughout the years, or?
Man, it was funny because we seen each other on the airplane.
When you did verses, right?
All right, let's get into the next one.
Yeah, this is going on too long. I do not like DJ Envy. He gets on my nerves so bad. He said his wife kidnapped him.
Ernie, I called some bodyguards and I just planned a whole kidnap, and we kidnapped him.
I think it's amazing that they even were able to make Gucci Man.
Right, because they cloned him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Clone did. I'm pretty sure like that was done from a separate company. Yeah, clearly.
Right. Everyone was saying he was cloned as soon as he got out of jail. He looked different. He talked different.
Yeah, even his teeth and his smile.
And took him to the hospital because we could not get him to the hospital. And he was trying to fight them and everything, but it was 6 of them. He couldn't handle it. And we threw him in the car. He would try to jump out the car. So we put him in the center of the car, you know?
You see how you just revealed that it was not about Gucci Man, you silly hoe.
And that was like his last episode.
That's a 5150, right? That's what they call it?
When you go to the
Yeah, but they try to do things where he could sign himself out. And I'm like, He's not signing. Like, I'm stern with them. He's not signing himself out. I'm his wife, and I'm his power of attorney. He ain't going nowhere.
I ain't never finna let you paint my motherfucking face in a picture that it don't fit in. I ain't never finna do that.
Like, at one point, I called his attorney. I called some bodyguards, and I just planned a whole kidnap, and we kidnapped.
Okay. So that is the instance where they were talking about that she kidnapped him or she kidnapped him because she was taking him to treatment.
Yeah, that's a stretch. I can be objective and say my brother is very mentally ill. So I wish they would have done something like that to him. He's been Baker acted a couple of times, but that we're not talking about him. But my point is I can relate to, and even with clients, I mean, they get Baker acted all the time by their parents, obviously, because they're not married, but that's literally being Baker acted for the most part. You get put on 72-hour hold. It's not always 72 hours, especially if whoever's evaluating you is not as skilled as they could be, because they can literally let you out the next day if you finesse it good enough. But the max is usually 72 hours, unless
I will interject here is one of the things that we do, and I think that we do incorrectly as Black folks, is that we have these people that in our family that have these mental health issues, have these mental health crises, and instead of, and like I said, you all can call it kidnapping if you want to, but for her to be able to get people around, that she had enough people around to be able to get him to the hospital,
that's commendable.
I am in favor of that than you picking up the phone, calling 911 to call the police. And the police are not equipped to handle people with mental illness. Anytime that person with mental illness makes a move, they are going to want to prune that person from the timeline.
And then you got to think of where they are. They're in Atlanta. You got to think of, just in general, most Black men's aversion to law enforcement. So he definitely, if he was in a manic or whatever state schizophrenic people end up in, I'm sure he would have been extremely belligerent toward the police, and that would have expedited his exit off the planet. So this was really the only way to do it. If what she's saying is true, I don't know. It sounds a little Tubi movie to me. But I'm just happy she had enough people that weren't afraid to do it. Because that's part of the problem, is that those enablers, they're so afraid to end up getting cut out of the circle of trust that they won't do anything.
Right. And that's why I was saying she had somebody, and I'm gonna put Blue's statement up here, that she's a caregiver and she was holding him down like a wife and a good natured person too. And like I said, the way she described it, in my opinion, because people were like, oh my God, she even said she did that. The way that she described it, she was putting 20 on 10, but she was getting him to the hospital. She knew she couldn't, he wasn't going to go to that hospital if she said it.
Right.
But if she said it, and then she had other people there to help physically move him to the place that he needed to be, to the hospital, then I personally think that is a better deal than for you to call the police. If you got to call the police, you just got to call the police. I'm not against doing any of that, but I'm just saying that these are just different ways. And I think a lot of times, when people hear this, people are always wanting to assume that somebody's always trying to get over on you. And I think that's more the biggest. Is she trying to get over him? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know these folk. I do not know these people. All I'm trying to get you all to understand is, if you have a loved one that has mental health issues, you need to do whatever you can to get your person some help. And we're talking about this in surrounding of these clips and things like that. Do what you need to do to be able to get them some help. But a lot of times we worry about whether or not they ain't gonna like me no more. Well, baby, if they're not in their frame of mind that you are used to them being, if they're not in that right frame of mind right now, when they get into that frame of mind, they're going to be like he said in the last clip we said, he was like, well, Jeezy said something in the moment, and I was like, damn, why would he say that? But now that I've come, I'm in a better frame of mind, I understand, hey, he was smart about that. I agree with what he did. And that's is you're so worried about being your feelings in the moment. He ain't gonna like me. He gonna be mad at me. She gonna be something like that. If this person is already in the middle of a crisis, anything and everything they say is not going to make sense, and no, they're not going to like you. They don't like themselves. Right. So let's continue. Let's get to this one.
It cannot go unmedicated, and the quicker the better, because once they're medicated, they usually get better in like 2 weeks. It's not overnight. It's literally like 14 days for them to be back to normal. Mm-hmm. So for him, like, let's say he started his medication after an episode. He started his medication today, right? 3 days later, he'd be like, oh, my wife, you're so beautiful. I could tell by his words that he's getting better. And then tomorrow he might say, ugh. And I'm like, oh, shit, he's not better yet. Like, I could just tell by his tone.
So who do you talk to, Keish? Like, who do you have a therapist?
No, I'm my own. I'm the therapist. He'll tell you I'm like a real therapist. I know how to speak to him.
And I disagree.
That's where and this is my first time seeing it. That's where I can see why people said what they said. Not talking about that clone stupidity. That's just dumb. But that point right there, because I'm very observant. I pick up on things quick. It doesn't take long. That's the problem for me. And I see why people had a problem with that. You're not a therapist. You're not a licensed professional. You're not. That's where I see where people said, oh, she's his handler. She's taking advantage of him. And I'm saying that's where the door opens to weaponizing his mental health. Because you're literally telling us, basically giving us a playbook on how you control him. I see it now. I can totally see that side of the argument. Because you're literally giving us a playbook. It takes 14 days. According to who? Like, you work for the pharmacy that created that medication? Who told you that it takes 14 days? So it almost seems like, for lack of a better way to put it, how do you explain it? Oh, and by the way, they've been married about 8 years. Okay, so I thought they were recently married because I saw, for some reason, Roku shows a lot of those old episodes, and I think there was some reality show that showcased their wedding, and it was clearly old. I thought it was new because, again, I don't follow him.
Right.
I'm having a hard time articulating what it is I'm trying to say, but I can totally see the manipulation side of it.
Yes.
Because you literally know the day by day, okay, it takes 14 days for him to get the full effects of the medicine. By day 3, he's calling me beautiful and telling me what I want to hear, in other words. You're not telling us any other significant progress benchmark other than him basically kissing your ass. And
I was just about to say that.
Yeah. So to me, that's not a good benchmark to me, because this is not about you.
Yeah, and that was the problem. I think that's the part that I disagreed, because and like I said, I can see where people say, because number one, she kind of took over the interview. That was number one, where I can see people.
That's the first red flag.
And then number two, everything was centered. His wellness was centered how he was treating you. And then when they ask you a very legitimate question about, where do you get help from, or whatever? I'm a therapist.
I'm my own.
You cannot be your own therapist, y'all. You can't be your own doctor. You cannot be your own therapist.
No, but then she went full narcissist and said that she is the therapist.
And that's the problem. And that is the issue that, yeah. And so if you are someone that is a caregiver, you understand and know that it's like your cups. Ladies, we talk about these cups. You have your cups and they're full. And then you're emptying your cup to help somebody else, and emptying your cup to help somebody else. There's no way in the world that you're going to be healthy if your cup is more empty than the person that you're filling. You got to have somebody, something else to help fill your cup back up. And so the way she made that statement is the reason why people are believing that she is his handler. Now,
Yeah.
if I play advocate, I heard a bing. Is that me or
That
you?
was me, my phone. I need to put my computer on Do Not Disturb. I thought it was. And Fashion
And
Nova
so,
decided to text me.
your
No,
clothes,
Fashion Nova. I
your
do
clothes are
not want.
ready.
Huh?
Your clothes are ready. Come, we're shipping them
Right.
out.
I do not want any Halloween costumes. Thank you very much.
So, you know, and sometimes I think too, and again, both of them are entertainers. Sometimes I think that in any instance where you can find yourself to be centered, you will take that opportunity as an entertainer. Sometimes not understanding it might not be the right time. It's not about you, jazz hands, jazz hands. It's not about you. But I think that that's where it messed up, you know, that hey, she, you know, she's his handler. She's not doing that. Now I this is let me do the other two, and then we'll go back to I'll put a pin in some of the stuff that he's talking about. So here is another clip.
Needs to be real in hip hop culture. What new code would you give this new generation?
Oh man, I let them know like they talking about that hood, but the best hood is fatherhood.
That's
You
right.
know, that's what I'm most proud of. You know, I love being called dad. You know, I love being a present dad. That's like, I didn't even know that it was so much joy in raising kids that it is. But you know what I'm saying? Like raising a family has changed me. It has changed me for the better.
That's why you need older men in hip hop. Because when you start listening to these young men and all they want to talk about is pop, pop, firing guns, I got on my Gucci belt and all this other stuff.
Right.
You miss out on all this other stuff. Then you got these guys at 682 years old, and now they talking about being a dad, but they can't pick the baby up because the back hurts.
Right. Or they're medicated and they got to wait 7 to 10 business days for it to kick in.
All right.
Is there another one? Oh, it froze. Are you frozen?
Mm-mm.
I don't see anything playing.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't share the tab. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing well with.
Right?
I'm not doing well on my technical duties as I thought. Here we go.
No, you fine. I just was like, are we waiting
He
for
had
something?
a mild one coming maybe 2 years ago, and I caught it. So now I catch them before they come. And like people be saying stuff about him, like, oh, he's soft, he's this, he that. The madman is still there. So I try my best. I don't want them to provoke him because it will come back.
Yeah.
And he's very dangerous. So y'all listen, please leave him alone. Because the Mad Max is still in there.
Yeah, when I saw Young Thug say,
What? Okay, so I'm seeing it now. I'm seeing it. He's very dangerous.
So part of this clip, and I don't know if I have it on the second one, but part of this clip, she was talking about the fact that when he goes through the episodes, he will get online, he would get on Twitter and start going off, or if you see him in public, he'd start going off and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm just, like I said, we don't want the copyright strikes from watching the whole clip all at one time, but that's part of that is part of the reason why people are saying that she is his handler rather than his caregiver. And that's why
I can totally and completely, my husband is not tech savvy. He could care less about any of it. He has Instagram, he has Facebook. I just laughed at him this morning because I'm like, dude, you just posted that yesterday. Why'd you post it again? Because he doesn't see where he might have duplicated the same post or put the same pictures up. So, you know, I have to go in there and delete stuff or fix stuff. He has it, but he doesn't use it to its full potential. So I can appreciate if he does what you're saying that he does. I could totally appreciate a wife saying, yo, you need to reel that back because you're doing too much. Just like somebody needs to do that with Nicki Minaj. And I'm not going to say Cardi B with this recent situation because she's selling records. and Nicki Minaj went too far. So she got what she got. But I can totally rock with that. Yeah, you need to stay off social media for that. If you're going on there, crashing out, acting crazy, saying incriminating stuff, saying stuff that can have the FBI and CIA at our door, or the CPS people, you know what I'm saying? I can get with that. What I cannot get with, though, is your choice of words. He's dangerous. Because to me, and this is why I'm not a feminist by today's definition. This is why I'm so anti-toxic feminism, all that, woman-centered stuff. Because to me, that sounds like a soft launch to, if something goes wrong, we can run tape to where Keisha said he was dangerous. Keisha said she had to throw him in the back of a white van just to get him to get mental health treatment. Keisha said, you understand what I'm saying? Keisha said it takes 14 days for his medication to kick in. So was he on day 3 when he choked her out? You understand what I'm saying? It's like she's planting dropping a lot of breadcrumbs.
Mm-hmm. And I can see
that.
I
refuse to believe that she's stupid enough to be saying this stuff and not have people that can critically think, not just fans, not just Zers and younger millennials that don't connect the dots anywhere. And half of them have never had a real serious relationship, aren't married. You know what I mean? And they don't get it. But I refuse to believe a woman in her mid-40s with 2 sets of kids would not be more careful with her words if there was not some ulterior motive or some other agenda that she's preparing for in the event that this current publicity campaign that they're on about his mental health goes left.
Okay.
Because now he's going to look like the bad guy because she's doing all the talking. And, we've seen this story before.
So thank you. So I will add this on there because, like I said, I got Danny on here because we were talking about some of this stuff. And I was like, maybe it's because how she's saying this stuff, because I'm understanding what she's saying, but I'm using my brain and like, okay, she shouldn't say it like this. This is how she should say it. How she should say it is, I being with him for as many years that I am, I can notice some of the signs that he has, and I do what I can or make all the efforts that I can to stir him away from that, even if it's sitting down talking, checking his medication.
Right.
Even if I have to change the passwords on the social media, so we're spending time trying to figure out what's going on with the social media until he gets bored of it and he doesn't want to do it, and then I'll know what the new password is, and I'll say, hey, if I feel like he's in a better frame of mind for that, I can say it like that. But to say, y'all leave him alone, child, because he's
dangerous.
Well, because then I'm starting to question you, because if someone is that dangerous and you are doing all of that, you're not scared that he's going to go off? Let's continue.
Correct.
That I was just like, man, Thug is just young.
Yeah, they don't understand.
Gucci ain't soft. He grown.
Yeah.
He's grown. He's evolved.
All right, so I'm gonna get better on my technical thing. I'm doing my last.
It's all right. It's Sunday. It's it's Sunday.
this Sunday fun day brain is because I'm coming off another live too, y'all. So
okay.
Let's see. Now this is the last one. Do I have it up?
It's Sunday.
Oh. Okay, here we go.
For 24 hours at the door, just standing. I said, get in. There was one time he stood outside for 24 hours at the door, just standing. I said, get inside. No. I said, did somebody give you a cookie or lace it? What is wrong with you? Because I'm not even catching on. Mm-hmm. I just want to stand up out here. He said out there 24 hours. So I said, okay, there's an episode coming. Mm-hmm. I wasn't that good of a pro yet. The episode came like a week or 2 after that. So that was a sign.
So do you have to just let him be in those moments, even though he just standing outside, you just let him stand there? Or?
No, I don't play with him now. Then I let him stand out there for the 24 hours, even 4 or 5 a.m. he out there. But if he was to do that now, he going to the hospital.
Do your kids break you out that episode? Like when you see the kids, you like, nah.
All right, so those are all the interviews that I have in the clips that I have for the Gucci Mane situation. I wanted to do this. Let me add this to the stage really quick. Nothing's coming up. Where is it? Hold on. Here it is.
I was just about to say that. Could you put up a blurb about schizophrenia so people can understand what it is?
Schizophrenia is a chronic mental health condition characterized by a combination of symptoms that can significantly impact a person's thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Give me one moment. Let me move this comment section off because I don't see any comments. Now, they have this listed like positive, negative, cognitive, and disorganized symptoms and stuff like that. Like I said, I am not a mental health professional. I don't understand most of that, but that's what they have it listed. Let me get to the next slide. I think it's more. So positive symptoms, they talk about that the person will have hallucinations, delusions, disorganized speech and thoughts. Negative symptoms, what is
anhedonia? Anhedonia? I have no idea. It looks like something to do with, let me check. Let's look it up.
Let's do that.
Abolition, blunted effect. So I know blunted effect. I don't know why they're using these. Blunted effect, I don't know if you've ever heard, and typically in the legal arena, they'll call it flat affect. Yeah. So flat affect.
You look at him and he had a flat affect.
But he's probably medicated.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those medications do that. It kind of looks like flat affect. The best way to describe it would be flat. Like, okay, we might laugh at something, and when I laugh, I'm like,
but I'm looking like this.
Somebody with a flat affect would just be like, huh.
This is how they look, y'all. Flat affect is just like this.
It's flat. It's just that. So anhedonia is lack of pleasure, inability to experience pleasure from activities usually found enjoyable. Right. So let's say you're a gamer. When you're in an anhedonic or whatever state, you don't enjoy video games anymore. Abolition, you don't want to, you know what I mean? Blunted effect, flat affect, you just look zoned out, you look flat. When you should have some type of reaction to whatever the stimulus is in front of you. Cognitive, memory issues, inability to process social cues, impaired sensory perception.
If you would have watched that versus this blunted affect, you would have saw Gucci's face, because there were some things that people were saying that were like funny, or things that were like would catch you like, oh, he was just like
crickets.
Yeah, and that's why it felt tension. It was tension because it looked like he was mad as hell. I mean, he was so flat, and when like somebody was, and then he would take the mic, and then he just would turn his whole body and look at you like this. And people would be like, "What the hell? What the hell is going on?" And then Jeezy would say something, and then he'd be like, "Go on, man, just go on and play the song, man. Go on, play the song." It would be you felt like it was so much tension. But now that I'm understanding what because like I said, I didn't know nothing about him having any schizophrenia. But now that I'm understanding that they're talking about this, and particularly inability to process social cues and that blunted affect, I can say that those are the two things that I recognize. Because again, it would be something. It was somebody would say something to try to be lighthearted, and then it was just like, because they had a comedian host that particular show, and the comedian would say something lighthearted, everybody was laughing, and he was just
And the flat affect, I don't think is just specific to schizophrenia. I think that a lot of these conditions that are treated with medication
Yeah.
The medication can cause those
flat affects.
Yeah.
And this disorganized speech, from the people that I have been around with mental illness, this has always been a big thing about the disorganized speech, the thinking, the incoherentness of the speech, the illogical stuff. They're believing that they're telling you something with logic, and then one sentence that they said doesn't match the second sentence, and
Right.
when you're asking them questions, it's like, they get real frustrated, and then they can't figure out their thoughts, and they're telling you to shut up because talking too much, that's your problem, you just talking too much. And this is always what I get right here, this little scratchy mechanism. When I see that, for the people that I know, this little scratchy mechanism, I already know that, it's because they're trying to find something to get them to think as clearly as it can, and that scratching starts
or pacing, or standing in the middle of the room,
or this right here.
Yeah,
that's a big cue that I'm like, okay, Pam, just shut up.
My brother just stands in the middle of the room like he's doing a performance.
Yeah, just All right. So I just wanted to get you to those clips, and those, like I said, you didn't see those clips, but that is why I titled this Caregiver or Handler, because like I said, I believe that she is giving him care, but I also understand and know that she is an artist, and I think that she might have some self-grandizing type displays with herself, and she's not willing to go get any help for being a caregiver, because I'm quite sure that she is afraid of what somebody's going to say in regards with how she's interacting.
Just the idea that she gave herself a professional license that takes most professionals 6 to 7 years to achieve was wild for me. Like, I am the therapist. What?
She figured it out.
So you have narcissistic delusions of grandeur. So you might need to get diagnosed your damn self, because to sit there and say that you're something that you're not, that's like me. Actually, this has been done before. That's like me saying that I'm an attorney just because I know the law, or I have significant knowledge about certain legal concepts. So now I'm a lawyer. No, I'm not a lawyer. I did not go to law school. I did not pass the bar exam. I cannot practice law. I cannot advise you from a legal standpoint. I can give you ideas and questions to ask a lawyer, but I cannot practice law. I know where the line is drawn.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
So, yeah, I definitely can see. And for me, I found it problematic. I don't know if it was part of this interview, but there was a point where she supposedly had said that he had been acting like that before they even got married. So that's where it came full stop for me, because my thing is this. I'm never a fan, and I don't care who you are. I don't care if I like you. I don't care if we're friends. I don't care how long I've liked or known you. I'm never a fan of someone, male or female, taking on a situation like this in the dating stage. Who the hell is that? In the dating stage. And she said that he had been acting like that before they got married. So for me, that's where the long-suffering wife routine kind of hit the wall. Because my thing is, if this diagnosis didn't come up during your marriage or the signs of it, that means you already knew that this dude was a whole toy and fry short of a Happy Meal. And you still pursued him because he was a meal ticket.
Now, Danny.
And then after you got married, it started getting, worse and worse, allegedly. And so now you got to maintain your position. So you're going to weaponize his mental health by not only being a self-proclaimed, unqualified mental health professional, but you're sitting here literally giving us a play-by-play on how you pretty much manipulate him and weaponize his mental health by saying by day 3, he's saying I'm beautiful. But then by day 4, he's and I know. So what are you doing? Up in the dose? Like it almost sounds like an episode of what are those true crime shows? Deadly Women or what is you know
Snapped.
Not
Snapped.
but they have one specifically about women though. I know there's one called Deadly Women. There's another one called Killer Nurses, and then there's another one. It's one that's centered around women who kill their men or do things against their men. It almost sounds like an episode of that. But like they say, isn't it a figure of speech if you let people talk long enough, they'll tell on themselves?
And like I said, I think it's because, again, I wanted to do this to make sure that we use the proper terminology. I just think when you start trying to call yourself a therapist, see, I know this. It's one thing to tell me, usually when he has these episodes or if he goes off his medication, usually I notice a big change around the second or third week. That's the best way to put that. But when you're saying, listen, by the 3rd day, he is this. By the 4th day, he's doing this.
So what are you doing? Like keeping a diary or keeping and then it's like, what's the difference between day 3 and day 14? Because I do know that some of these medications, they do have to kind of, for lack of a better way to put it, stockpile in your system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, certain ones. Some work right away. Some have to like build up. So like for instance, my daughter is on a ADHD medication and hers works right away. It doesn't have to stockpile. So she can come off of it for the whole summer, be cool, and then just go back on it when school starts as she needs it to take her tests and everything else. Right. But then antipsychotic medications, certain ones, they have to build up. So you might not see. So that 14-day thing does sound about right because depending on what he's taking, it could take up until 14 days before it actually works. But my thing is, where are you getting day 3 versus day 4? And
again, that was to make her feel, that was to make her look important. I promise you that's what I believe it was.
I mean, what is she, a Google MD? And then to me, again, it's giving.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all?
Yeah, well, I don't play when it comes to life and death situations. I might Google something if it's after hours and I need to Google something to ask the doctor, but I'll be damned if I'm sitting here risking my life on somebody dangerous playing around with his medication. Absolutely not.
Absolutely. All right. So this is what I'm going to do. This is our little palate cleanser so that we can go into the next topic. So here we go. Let me add this to the stage.
What's that palate cleanser? Oh, this is the AI. He's like, oh, shit.
I want to see that video now. Why was he so disgusted?
Oh, he's cute.
So
he looks like a little old man.
Yeah, the premise is she's showing him a video of her, I guess her dancing or something, and he's watching the video, and then the little thing where he just turned around like, what? Mama, no,
right? He's been here before for sure.
Exactly, because I will play it again. Watch his face. Watch his face.
What the hell?
All right.
Oh, that's cute.
So that's our little palate cleanser. You know, we got our mind to be refocused for our last topic, and then we will be getting out of here. And if any of you all have questions for us, make sure that you are on our respective pages, giving us those likes and those thumbs up. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put them down in the comments. And after this segment, we will definitely answer the questions if there are questions down in the comment section. So the last thing, because we were supposed to do this earlier, but with my mental health diagnoses, when I get into the thing I don't want to do something, I just don't want to do it, and I will not do it. And it takes me a long time to get back in the groove of things to do it. Right. So we were going to do this when it first came out, but in
fairness, I think too, certain topics and certain content needs to have time to run its course, so you can make sure that you're not getting ahead of yourself and that you can kind of check the temperature in the room before you go in. You know what I mean? You don't want to walk in the room with a sheepskin coat on if it's 90 degrees in there.
You know.
So it kind of also gives you time to, okay, is this me or is it me and about 10,000 other people?
Yeah, and also too, it's like, you know, because like I've said before, there's just if I see ensemble cast and things like that, I like for things for everyone to get everything out before I can make a situation or a statement about something. And this was one of those shows. Number one, I will say this, and like I said, you've had 2 weeks to be able to watch this show, so I'm not spoiling or doing anything. Number one, I think that this particular show, whoever was the showrunner, really didn't understand that this ensemble of cast was not going to gel.
Or they did.
Well, you're right about that. Number two, I think that instead of Kirk trying to lead the conversation, I really wish he would have let the professional lead the conversation. And or if that professional couldn't lead that conversation appropriately, somebody should have been there to be able to lead that conversation appropriately. Because again, I just felt like, because I had talked with you about it, there was just something else going on and I was just unprivy to it. And I'm looking around like, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of tension, just like that Jeezy and that Gucci Mane versus. I can tell when there is tension in a room, and there was tension in the room. So what we're getting ready to do is we're getting ready to go over these clips from the Den of
Kings. Is that
Kings?
Yeah, I always want to say Den of Thieves, but then
girl, listen. I'm just like, when I see, all I think about is Den of Iniquity, and I
that too. That's what it should have been called. But hey,
so I'm just gonna pull up. These are the couple of famous. There's a whole lot of stuff that went on, and you definitely can go and watch this. But we're just gonna pull up the clips that I saw that I guess had the internet talking. So let's get into one of these first. And we're just gonna play them all in one thing, and then, like I said, if you want to interrupt and talk, let me know. Just tell me to stop. All right, here we go.
I took a break. I could have made $4, $5, $6, $10 million. I left it all on a plate to sit down.
Now, if you're not familiar with who this is NLE Chopper. He is a rapper.
Because something in my spirit wasn't right. I sat down. I had to go back home. Got grounded. Stayed in my hometown, the most dangerous city that people crucify. Stayed there, planted my feet there, and went into 112 day seek. Every day I woke up, I went outside with my notebook and I sat my feet in my grass and I stood before a tree and in nature and I just listened. And I wrote down everything. I jotted it. I got a journal. I got 4, 5 journals stacked over 3, 4 months. It's like a Bible. The Most High God fed to me every day, every second. When I woke up, he'd wake me out of my sleep. He gave me dreams, people that I needed to get away from me, snakes, rats, whomever. He put everything under a microscope in my life. I just sat down for 3 to 4 months. It's a thing where people praise the Son more than they praise the Father. And that's what I don't like. Okay. Because if we are man made in a likeness, Jesus is our brother. You get what I'm saying? Why would I drop down and praise my brother instead of praising my Father? And that goes back to honoring your parents.
I just gotta say something.
What?
Have you read the Bible?
I read the Bible. I listen to the Bible. I receive from source straight.
I would say read it again.
Son.
Let me ask you a question, Ray J.
And Christianity.
Let's see what this one. Let's see what this one is.
Well, man is willing to
Ray J.
receive.
Coke run.
Well, that does just answer the question.
Work it down.
Do you feel like your experience? Do you feel like your experience in the
And if you weren't familiar with any other video, that was NEL Chopper, and that was Jonathan Majors speaking to NEL Chopper. And then we have in this video, NEL Chopper speaking to Ray J, Brandy's little brother.
world that you can give Jonathan some advice?
If he's willing to receive.
That's right. I need to smoke a cigarette.
Southern, let me jump in and say this. Watch this. Watch this.
I can only give.
All right, we've got, I don't know what this one is. Let's see.
What you guys do?
I don't think that this was okay. I'm sorry, y'all. This was just okay. And that was the clip. So those were all the clips. Those were all the clips that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a couple of other clips again, because like I said, go watch it if you want to get the totality of the context. I watched it twice. So like I said, when I
could barely watch it once. It took me 4 hours. And I think in that 4 hours, that's when the light bulb went off. I was like,
yeah. So I went through that. I watched it full because I like to watch it full to see. And then I noticed there was tension. And then I just like watched it the second time after you had told me. And I was like, okay, all right. So just to be fair, so we can get this context out here, there was tension. And there was tension between Jonathan Majors and there was tension between NEL Chopper. Now, you asked me what
and
that
then
tension
Ray
was.
J tension by proxy because he felt like he needed to interject in the absence of his friend speaking for himself and asking the question himself.
So here was the tension. So a couple of years ago, NEL
exactly,
Chopper,
it was April of 2023.
Thank you. In April of 2023.
We like timelines. April of 2023. And now a message from our sponsors.
Woo! Let me stop. Please don't show me choking. All right. April of 2023, NEL Chopper was being interviewed by Jason Lee. And somewhere in that interview, Megan Good's name was mentioned. And you know how messy Jason Lee is. He called.
Well, in Jason's defense, because at the time, nobody knew that she wasn't
available.
But and Jason did say that, she's recently divorced. So apparently he didn't know either.
And that's why
right.
And I'm keeping it to the point when I'm talking about messy Jason Lee, I'm saying he could have made that statement and they could have moved on to the next question. I'm saying messy Jason Lee because he had her number on speed
right.
and he made the phone call.
Right.
And there was a phone call and an interchange or an interchange between
entertaining.
Of
the shooting of the shot, no less.
Exactly. So there was this little thing. So now while I was giggling and why she was talking about the timeline, because it's important to know that was during the time that Megan and Jonathan were dating. Or it became, was it April or May when it became known?
It became known.
It became known.
They both told Jason that basically she stayed the night at his house 2 nights after his arrest. So that's on tape. Nobody's making that up. So I don't know if it was said accidentally or on purpose, but it was said by both of them.
And that's why I was saying that whoever was the showrunner or the producer for this show should have done enough. They possibly did know and wanted the tension, or they did not know and had the tension. So this is why you felt the tension. They were talking with each other as if it wasn't, but you can feel the tension. And then as Danny was saying, Ray J interjected, because I got the appearance after I watched it the second time, is that there was a conversation between Ray J and Jonathan about, oh dude, I'm gonna
Had
call
to
him like,
have been, because my thing is, when you asked, and then the crazy part, the nasty work about it for me is that that's one hell of a ask for you, the poster child for the 45-year-old with arrested development. You said, I used to not be able to be told anything. You still can't be told anything. And you're 45 years old. That's the first issue I have. The second issue is, fine, you want to make a point. You want to ask this kid young enough to be your son, literally young enough to be your son, if he thinks he can give advice to a man older than him. Not much. Why'd you have to pick Jonathan? Why couldn't you pick any of the other men in the room to ask, do you think you can give advice to Kev on stage? Do you think you can give advice to Kurt? Do you think you can give advice to Doc? Why'd you specifically ask him about Jonathan? That's how you know that there was some well, first of all, we can all see that the entire episode was very poorly edited. There was a lot of chopping in between the scenes. So fast forward a week or so after the episode aired and all this stupidness about the Read It Again came out, NLE did talk to TMZ, and he said the same thing that I had already assumed, which was there was a lot of editing and a lot that was going on behind the scenes that we did not see. But what we did see, it was quite obvious that, and I didn't even know, again, like I told Pam, I vaguely remember somebody trying to shoot their shot at Megan Good. I thought it was NBA Youngboy. I don't know. I don't know any of their songs. Something told me to just Google it. I said, Google NBA Youngboy Megan Good. And when I Googled that, it corrected me and put NLE. And then that's when I saw the Jason Lee thing. And I said, oh, snap. That's what this was about.
All right. So let's listen to what she was talking about. I think this is when he was talking to TMZ.
Mm-hmm. You feel like there's an issue with Majors now, or are you good with Majors?
I feel like it's not an issue with Majors. I never had one. I do feel like it was tension going into the interview on his behalf, because I've publicly said things, complimented Megan Good about her looks and stuff.
Oh, that's what it was about.
So like during the interview, it was like certain moments to where like I just felt like he kept trying to use the Megan thing to, like, you know how people, as kids, people wave stuff in your face like, hey, I got this, you ain't got that. Yeah. But it wasn't even that, bro. It was like, you know, I respect whatever, you know, union y'all have. But it was like he kept, during the interview, it was moments where it just felt forced and it felt unnatural with how he was bringing her into the equation. And even like he brought her into the equation and said, you know, no disrespect to the young brother, as he looked off and like waved me off twice. Right. And then he looked up at the guy in front of him and made eye contact with him and said, and you know, no to you as well, Kev, but you did not look at me. You made no eye contact. You brushed me off. I see, and then proceeded to disrespect me. You feel me? So it was like, I just knew what was really going on behind the scenes. I knew that was something that he was pressed about.
Man, I ain't gonna lie, man. Like, I respect NLE Chopper. Like, the new version of him, like, who he is becoming right now, I respect that version. I see many people tripping about his Jesus comment. Listen, think about it, right? Many times we be holding on to things that we don't even sure about, man. Like, you watching right now, you might have a different perspective from NLE Chopper. You might have the same perspective, but what evidence and proof that you have to say what you're saying is 100% fact? You know what I mean? Like, think about that for a second, because all you know is what you've been told. You never seen or heard from the source itself, right? So why are you, acting crazy for someone speaking their opinion? You know what I mean? That's why I say don't hold on to nothing too tight, because you do not know. So if NLE Chopper believed that Jesus and the Most High are different, don't judge NLE Chopper, man, because he's just speaking his truth. He's just speaking the truth that he believed to be true. And you're speaking the truth that you believe to be true. We all trying to figure this game out, man. Think about it.
All right.
It was definitely a pissing match. And the irony of the whole thing, I don't even know if irony is the right word, but prior to that exchange, every last one of them, except for Chopper, because much like myself, he did not grow up being forced to go to church with pastors as parents. Obviously you have your grandparents that, they teach you things, you learn, to believe in God and do the right thing and yada, yada, yada. You'll go to church here and there, but it wasn't forced. Nobody was clergy. Nobody was deacons and ushers and this, that, and the third. So you kind of got to find your own way, good, bad, or indifferent. Everybody at that table except NLE verbally articulated that they were church hurt, for one. They were burned out by being forced to go to church their entire lives. Two of them said that having pastors as parents that did not pour into them the way they poured into their congregants, you understand what I'm saying? Affected them negatively.
Of course it does. Can you imagine?
Your dad's a pastor and you're struggling with thoughts of suicide and he can't even help you, but he can help somebody in his church. Your mom's a pastor. You're going on to, get ready to take yourself out, and she tells you she can't help you. You understand what I'm saying?
But she can go and sit. She can go and sit with a congregant as they go to the hospital in regards to all of that.
And do your job every day, because that's her actual job.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to being a pastor, but couldn't pour into you in that respect. But then you want to sit, and then you got Ray J. Dad was a gospel singer, and I think a minister as well.
He's a minister. He is.
Yeah, he's a minister as well, and a gospel singer. So all of them are textbook preachers' kids that turn out messed up. And then you got NLE, who apparently is turning over a new leaf, and he's excited about it. And I'm not going to knock him for that. Right. Everybody's walk is different. We all know about the Trinity. So I don't know why everybody's sitting there trying to act like that the Bible itself did not differentiate between the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Why we're sitting here pretending like when Jesus was on earth walking among men, he did not call us his brothers and sisters. There are several scriptures where he says that, and it's not about cherry picking scripture. It's about knowing scripture and understanding it in context. Just because you have a pastor, deacon, priest, whatever you want to call it, as a parent, does not mean you know everything. If anything, you'll get the side eye from me, because those are usually the kids that know the least.
Because because no one has ever challenged them about their knowledge about anything.
Right, because they just basically ride the coattails of their parents. Right. And the assumption is they know as much as their parents do, but in reality, the parents don't pour into them. The parents don't sit with them and do the Bible studies. The parents don't sit with them and have those deep discussions, but they'll do it with their congregants.
Right.
Or patients. Or whatever else. You understand what I'm saying? So you don't get to claim the knowledge and the spiritual fortitude by proxy of your parent, especially if your parent is a hypocrite, because that's a whole other conversation. And then you got Kirk Franklin here, like Kevin Hart said, dick popping for the Lord, because at the end of the day, we all have our faults. We all have our flaws, but you don't seem to be, you understand what I'm saying?
I understand. Well, I would put it to you like
I
this.
think
For
Kirk
all
Franklin
of those,
is more in the world than he is in the church. And the church is just his means of making a living. And
income.
I'm not going to judge anybody's walk because nobody's
No.
perfect.
And
Nobody
I
got it
also
all figured
think
out.
that he's been doing it so long, but you
He's
also see those.
desensitized to it.
I was just gonna say they have been, like when you say, when you've been forced to go to church and you're forced to do these things as you become an adult, because I've heard, I follow Kev on stage because I think he's funny.
Yeah,
But
he is funny.
he has talked about how he has grown up in the church, because he talked about, he made a statement in another interview talking about in his 20s that if you would have told him that if you drank around him or if he was drinking or anything, he believed very fervently that you was going to hell. And because he grew up believing that if you were drinking and drinking alcohol, you were going to jail. All the pastors and things like that he grew up in, they preached that, they did all of that. When he became a youth pastor and started hanging around with the pastors, what were the pastors doing? Drinking and smoking and all the things they're telling you that was going to send you to hell. So he was starting to have he was having those types of things. And even he was talking about how he was talking to his wife. They led him to believe that he is the head and he can talk to her any kind of way because he's the head and all this other stuff. And he made some statement to her, and he visibly saw how he had hurt her feelings. And then at first he kind of roughed back, but then he started seeing how she was reacting. And this is somebody there in a place where it ain't nobody but her and him. And now he is alienated the person who he's there with. So he just talks about how that maturation and how things that he was told by man sometimes didn't match up what he was reading in the Bible.
Exactly.
And so he had to come to a realization that he as a man has to grow up as a man and be a man and stand in that manhood, and it's not going to always look like people are saying it's supposed to look like in the Bible.
Right. Exactly. And I think
that's the conflict. And for me, that is the conflict that I thought I was going to see these men talk about. And that's why I was saying it didn't do this conversation any justice when you had this this undercurrent of something else, and it wasn't dealt with in the beginning. And that's why I wish that if a professional, because this particular professional was also having issues and problems.
Yeah, so he wouldn't have been a good,
There should have been a professional, another person there.
Outside of that circle.
Yes, there should have been another person there that was going to be able to steer that conversation and pick up on those things. And because, like I said, this was a whole dinner, so we didn't see the whole thing. So surely it should have been picked up at that point. Even if the situation was, because I couldn't even understand why the hell they were sitting together. Maybe I'm petty and stuff like that, but I still couldn't understand those things. I think that either NEL Chopper or Jonathan should have been over there where Kev on stage was at, and Kev on stage should have been over in there, because that's important. Because physical awareness about what you're doing, those things are important. Those things are important just as well as emotional awareness and social awareness and all those different things. So for me, what disappointed me was, like I said, I felt the tension. I just didn't know where it was coming from. And then to find out where it was coming from, it kind of pissed me off, because I was hoping that these men would would stay on track about talking about how they were butthurt about, not that they did, because none of them said it, as I recall, that they were separating themselves from the Lord or anything like that. I just wanted them to tell us about how they had to navigate that, and also to navigate that dealing with mental health issues, because particularly how I know that folks that I know that have grown up, the church has a different attitude in regards to mental health issues, because a lot of people in church believe you just ain't focusing on King Jesus like you need to. You don't, they think it's about mental fortitude, and you just need to be studying the word. And I was broken from that, because when you're dealing with something, when he was talking about the schizophrenia, I dealt with the woman who had schizophrenia. No one wanted to, they just thought that, oh, well, she just wasn't in the word, and she wasn't strong in the word. And so they were giving her all of this information and all of the word and everything like that. She was going to church every day, but yet she felt like her children were the devil. And by the time, everyone's like, oh, well, it's just this, spare the rod, spoil the child. Okay, now she done beat the child into the doggone, you had to amputate the baby's arm. What? Oh, I had to cut that off, or I had to be, because she had the devil in this, and just saying. And people, because like I said, people in the church can believe that you're diabetic, they can believe that you have cancer, they can believe that you have a heart condition, they can believe you have edema, they can believe all of these different things. But it's something about when you talk about mental illness, they believe that is a lack of
faith, right?
And that is where, because when the guy who is the therapist was talking about him and his father and his relationship, I thought that's where we were going. And then this undercurrent of bullshit pulled up. And that just
and I'm like, there was so much that could have been gained by that conversation that was lost in Ray J acting like a 14-year-old.
Just got up and left and never came back.
You gonna sit there and pretend like that response was the reason why you needed to go sniff another bump of coke? Just say what it was, buddy.
Right.
And it was one thing I know was a junkie too.
And everybody was trying to sun him. Whether he believed what NEL Chopper said or not, that doesn't matter to me. I honestly do not really care about that. But it was the fact that y'all was trying to sun him. Now, on his part, I wish he had enough to be able to understand that quietness, not always having to respond and give your opinion about everything, that's golden as well. Because again, I was missing some stuff because he was wanting to inject, I'm from Memphis, that's the worst place to live, according to people, stuff like that. But I sat down. I'm happy for you, but I needed for Kevin to finish his statement about his brother and to talk. I needed to hear that, with someone who's lost her father. I wanted him to talk about how he was dealing with that grief thing, and you robbed me. So I know I made it about me. I'm sorry. I
think Kev on Stage landed the plane on that, though, because it bottom line was his brother was dying, but he wasn't technically supposed to die the day that he died, because what he died from wasn't the cancer, it was a seizure. And so that's what the trauma was from. It wasn't from the fact that they all knew he was going to die anyway. Of course, that would have been traumatic, but you would have had more time to
he was talking goodbye. But that was his person. You know how we have like our person, and I wanted him to kind of go in on how he was dealing that his person. I was interested in that. How was he matriculating because his person wasn't there? How did he matriculate through there? Because I understand that when your person, the person that understands you and doesn't judge you, when that person goes away, how do you deal with that? Because I still have people, don't mishear me.
But it's somebody's your person, right? Everybody has that one person that you have people, but there's always that one, kind of like cats will attach to one person, even though they like everybody. They have that one person that they gravitate to. It's the same thing with humans.
And so I was interested. And so, and like I said, I'm old enough and big enough and mature enough to know that was partly my issue, because I wanted to hear it. And it was some undercover BS that was going on that prevented me from hearing or hearing what I felt like I would have gleaned a little bit more from that conversation.
But I think the onus was on Kirk for that, because in the first 5 minutes, that's why we know there was other stuff going on behind the scenes.
Right.
Not only because the editing sucked and you can see where they chopped and cut certain things and was moving from one, you know what I mean?
Right.
But like the first 5 minutes when NLE started talking, he kind of was, all right, we're not going to get too deep into that, and just brushed it off. So I think that's what set the tone for everybody else feeling comfortable. Like they said, trying to sun him. because, you know, I get it. I'm a mom of a 21-year-old, and Ellie is barely a year older than my oldest child. And I say every day that these 21-year-olds are not the same as I was at 21, as Pam was at 21, as my parents were at 21. But there are exceptions. There are exceptions. And I know for a fact that I've raised my daughters to be the kind of 21 that I was at 21. When I was 21, I had a salaried job. I had my own place. I was living like an adult. I was in ministry. I was treated by older adults as equals. I was not talked down to. My intellect and my experience was not discounted because of my age.
Right.
My parents' generation, 22, these people were married with homes,
With children and
children,
homes.
careers. The generation before them, 22, you damn near retired. So
Girl, you were an old maid back then.
right.
You
So
didn't
right. So my point is, everybody was so focused on how old he is and not on the fact that everybody at that table, except for him, have not lived as much life as he has in 22 as they have in 36, 45, 58, and however old Doc was.
Yeah, because I think
By
Kev on
virtue of
stage
the fact
mentioned
they
that.
grew up sheltered.
Yeah, and then Kev on stage mentioned that. He was like, you know what? Now that
At
I
the
think
end.
about it, he was like, you have lived like lives, you know, where you would be considered ready for retirement for the stuff that you have gone through and the stuff that you've lived. And that is
People don't
true.
understand that. They don't understand that when you grow up in an urban environment, absent from like preachers and stuff in your family to kind of ground you and keep you off the street, because that's the difference. They got protected by, so when life did hit them in the face, they couldn't handle it and wanted to be like, oh, God wasn't enough to help me. Because you don't have the problem solving, critical thinking, and social skills to cope with trauma because you were protected and sheltered your whole life. And so him telling you to rely on God was like a 4-letter word. But people like me, him, and anybody else that grew up in really bad environments, that's literally all we have. That is literally all we have. Because you don't have that pastor to go to at home and read you scriptures and pray and, oh, it'll be okay, and keep you off the street and keep you in church 7, 8, 9 days a week, 24 hours a day, so that you don't get shot at and killed.
Right. But then at the same time, you're not even living life and what I mean by that, a lot of people don't have the opportunity. They're not having the opportunity to experience life to the point that you can use your critical thinking skills. It's just like you're in this little bubble and you're matriculating. That's why PK kids, when they go to college, baby,
they lose their minds.
They are just wilding out. They don't, and they don't have, and people know that, and they take advantage because they're just like, they're just down with almost every doggone thing.
And those are usually the ones that end up with drug habits, end up promiscuous, end up, getting in trouble because, again, those critical thinking skills, problem solving skills, everyday life navigation skills are just not there because you spent your whole life having people make decisions for you, give you biblical antidotes anytime something went wrong, so you didn't have to face reality
or the shame of it all. You ask a question, because I remember growing up, and you start asking questions and being inquisitive about God and being inquisitive about your body and being things.
You're being rebellious.
Yes. Oh, what you need to know about all of that? You don't need to be. But wait a minute. And then when you do get your cycle and everything, everybody's all freaked out. Why you ain't told nobody? Because when I was trying to talk to you, but you wouldn't listen to me.
Right. Or you made it feel like, oh, because this happened, now I'm going to end up getting pregnant, or I'm going to end up being promiscuous, or you're going to be able to tell if I'm having sex because I'm going to gain weight. I'm going to look like this. I'm going to look like that. So you just spending your whole time scared of every damn thing.
Of everything, because they're making everything a trauma, because they're having to
Right.
deal with the fact that they dealt with that as a trauma. So when you're asking legitimate inquisitory questions, they're commenting on you and tearing you down for stuff that they should be just talking to you about.
Right.
So then when you don't say anything, well, see, that's wrong with your little fast ass. You're just a little sneaky little heifer. Hold on, wait a minute.
Wait a minute, right? Like, hold up, pump your brakes.
Stop, wait a minute. You know,
Right.
you see, I see, you know, and then do not be male centered. Do not be raised by someone who is male centered and they think that you trying to get their man. You know, then you start getting into these little conversations about, see, you walking around the house, you know, you can't go to the bathroom, back to your bedroom without it being some type of
right.
You trying to seduce my man. I'm just trying to shit.
Right. And wash my ass. Like, hello. Listen, you preaching to the choir.
You know, I'm just trying to use the
Pun
bathroom.
intended.
I'm just trying to get to the, you know, I'm just trying to do this. You know, you sit with your legs crossed. What's your legs doing crossed for? Who? Wait, you know, all of this kind of stuff. And why you ain't got your blue jean skirt on down to your ankles and all of this other stuff?
Right. No earrings, no makeup. Pull your hair back.
They talk about all of this purity, and you talk about all of this purity, and then you push marriage, and then you get these girls who have all of this purity. They can't be wives because you scared them half the damn death.
Right. Or they end up with these really old men that are perverts and be experimenting on them. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this. Kurt got to do better, because that to me, it just seemed like
it was too much undercurrent for the surface conversation that they were trying to have.
And what was the point? What was the topic, actually? Was it mental health? Was the topic? Was that what they were supposed to be talking about?
They were supposed to be talking about mental health and how Black men are matriculating through the world about mental health and different mental health issues. You had the therapist guy was talking about
when he got injured and then
and suicide. You had Kev on stage talking about grief as far as losing his person.
Brother, right.
You were supposed to have Jonathan Majors talk about how he was matriculating with severe depression. You were supposed to talk with Kirk Franklin about
not having a daddy. And
well, his issues are a little bit. He had a dad, but his mother refused to tell him who the dad was. And the person who she said was the dad wasn't the dad. And having to deal with that, you know, and then being abandoned by said mom, being raised by a great aunt. It was a great aunt. Yeah, she was a great aunt that was deep into the church. He's raised by that, him having to deal with loneliness because he didn't have nobody. He was
raised. And he a midget, and he said something about if the only time he got attention was when he played the piano.
When he played the piano, and so that's you know, like that's why I was saying that he seems like he's deconstructed, but he still works and does the stuff. I'm not saying that he doesn't have faith, but it just seems like he's done all that. That's why you see him. He doesn't care if he's gonna be pussy popping for the Lord.
Dick popping for
the Lord. So why he doesn't care. That's why you see all of this, you know, it's, you know, but you let, you know, they'll say, oh, well, he's being rebellious too, but, you know, he's doing all of this and everything, but he doesn't seem like he cares about that anymore. And I can understand that.
He's an entertainer that's made his niche is gospel.
Yes.
And I'm not going to take away. I'm not going to sit here and judge anybody's walk. That's between you and God.
He's not the gospel singer. Well, he doesn't really sing. He's just like a choir director.
He's the hype man. Yeah, he'll sing occasionally, but he's more the hype man and the dick popper. But I'm not talking about nobody's walk. That's between them and God. When I get to the book of life, they're not going to ask me about Kirk Franklin or any of these fools. But my discernment is rarely off. And I'll say this. I think whatever he does for his career, because I don't really follow him much anymore either, gospel and God is a means to his end.
Exactly. Let me I'm gonna put it to you in the other respect. I think the same way about Kim Burrell. I don't think.
Oh yeah, she's terrible though. She's a terrible.
Yeah, I think the
person.
same way. I think she's a woman that can sing, and she has sung in gospel music, and that is where she makes her bread and butter.
But she's not walking the walk, basically.
Yeah, I that's the way. That's just the way. That's the way. There's some people who do it for professional, and then some people do it because they are having a legitimate walk. And I mean, it is what it is. And unless, like I said, until Christians take their name back and start doing what they need to do, and stop allowing other people to use their name and say what they believe it is instead of exactly what it is.
I call it a la carte Christianity.
Girl.
You know, where you just pick and choose the parts that look and sound good, and then depending on where you are right now, that's the version of God that you talk about.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And
we all know that God is the same always. There's no God for your infidelity. There's no God for your being a side chick. There's no God for you. You know what I'm saying? You don't get a separate God for each stage of your life. It's going to be the same God. Now, whether you choose
take accountability for what you're
doing, for what you're doing, and know that what you're doing is wrong, and that you're going to eventually reap what you have sown, regardless of how much you say God.
Yeah, because nothing burns my chaps for you to sit up there and you know that you're doing stuff, and then when someone points it out, you can't be talking to God's children like that. You can't just. But you're stealing from the church. You're asking people for $2,000 and $3,000, and you got a whole church sitting over there for 20 years that you hadn't worked on. So where is that money going? I'm sorry.
Right.
I just need
the
to know.
building fund, the building that never got built.
What building fund that's lasting that long?
10, 15 years. Could we at least get some plumbing put in with what we did give you? I mean, we don't have to wait to get all of it. You can do a little bit at a time. Can we get some crown molding put in? Can you replace the window?
But whatever happened to just getting it done first? You can do a mortgage and then you can pay that mortgage off. Whatever happened to something like that? Did you not get a loan for a mortgage?
That falls in line with financial literacy, because then that would put you on the task, take you to task for teaching your congregation financial literacy.
Because it would have been just as simple to get it all done, get a mortgage, and then tell the congregation, we got to pay this off. We're not going to be spending all this money and extra money on this mortgage. Hey, if you all can, you got your tithes, that's keeping the lights on and stuff, but we're needing to, to get this mortgage paid off. And then you show that you're paying this mortgage off so people can see that their money is doing, you'd probably.
And it's literally about transparency, because churches are nonprofit organizations too. So like any nonprofit organization, you have to have a prospectus or whatever you want to call it, annual report. Right. And you should be able to show quarterly where the money's going. And that should just be a given. And like you said, if they had a mortgage, then the congregation can have something tangible to say, okay, this is where my money's going.
And you can't tell me it's a light bill because and we're gonna be closing this out from right here.
Right.
You can't tell me it's the light bill when the church is closed from Monday through Saturday.
Right.
You can't tell me that you spending all that money on the light bill when I know
that on electricity.
Electricity. Well, the electricity and the water, but you can't tell me that. You just can't tell me that. Well, Danny, I do appreciate this because, like I said, I wanted to go over these topics and talk about them in these little clips, and it's always best to do it with somebody else. I didn't see any questions come through. Did any questions come through with that?
Oh, wait. It looks like there's one new comment from somewhere. I don't know what is this.
I see. What's
this? Oh, hey, Andre. How you doing?
Hey. So I don't see any questions or anything like that we needed to deal with. Because like I said, these are the types of things that the one thing I will say in closing that I really would love for us to get around is that when you're talking about mental health and when you're talking about dealing with mental health, let it be that and stop trying to add other things on it. Because, I've talked to Danny about this, but I get real weirded out when you start talking about spells and all these other stuff, and you're doing this, you've been dating this man for 5 years and you haven't reached a common goal with this particular man, or you hadn't reached this common goal with this woman, you and this woman, and you all break up and you go to the next relationship and then you reach that goal. And then you'll say the second woman put voodoo, or put a spell on him. No, it's just that you didn't do, y'all just wasn't going to work out.
Y'all just weren't going to work out.
Y'all want to go work out. I don't want to hear nothing about no spells, and I don't want to hear anything about when people are really going through mental illness and going through problems, that people can pray things away. And I think that that has been a hindrance for us because we don't want to take these things seriously. And then when we do decide to take it seriously, we don't know the resources that you need to go to be able to get some assistance. So you all hold on just a second. Let me find my file.
Now, I do believe this is for the people, the believers, that people that whatever your faith is, because this is not, a linear conversation. There is a place for faith and therapy together. Now, that's another thing, because there is a difference between a therapist and a psychiatrist. A lot of people need a psychiatrist. Psychiatrists diagnose and prescribe. Okay? You cannot talk therapy away psychosis.
Right.
Okay. And I think that's a bigger problem, because now I will tell you for a fact that the church is very pro-therapy. Very pro-therapy. A lot of pastors are therapists.
I was just going to say that's part of their duties as becoming
pastor. That's part of their, at this point, I think even to get ordained, they have to have some kind of therapy component, but that's not psychiatry. And see, that's where the issue comes in at, where people will talk, but nothing is changing because there's an underlying issue that's not being addressed. And then you also cannot expect therapy to work when you're lying to your therapist. If you're not being fully transparent and you're only telling them what you want them to know so that they can tell you what you want to hear.
Or you think you're smarter than your therapist.
Right. Then it's not going to work. And that's why so many people fly below the radar, because again, therapists are not psychiatrists. They cannot spot when you're lying to them. If they have discernment and if they have experience, they could probably be like, something's off with the story.
But
they're not going to challenge you.
Yeah,
they're not going to challenge you.
If they're asking the appropriate questions, they can kind of suss out that, wait a minute. Now, when you said this, let's go back over this, because they'll frame it into the ways that I'm not understanding what you need. Give me some clarity about what you're talking about.
Right.
They'll go through that. But
then depending on how defensive the person is, the person will just walk back what they said and change the subject. So now you're not going to get to the crux of it.
So I meant to put this up. This was a trigger warning, but these are the places. This is the place that the initial resources that'll help you get some help. Anytime you're dealing with suicide and crisis, mental health crisis, you can dial 988. You don't have to remember a telephone number. You can just dial 988. With domestic violence, here's the 1-800 number, 1-800-799-7233. If there's a crime going on, please dial 911. And if there's any SA going on and you need some assistance, initial assistance, you can call 1-800-656-4673. And so all of that to say is that there are places that you can get some initial help, initial resources. And my hope and my prayer is that if you've got somebody that has mental health issues, that you will go through one of these numbers first before you call 911. Now, if there's a crime going on, if someone is being assaulted, if somebody's going through those things like that, absolutely.
If they're dangerous.
If they're dangerous, yeah, make sure you call, honey. But if anything like that, before that process happens, please get like she said, there's a difference between being a counselor and a therapist and a psychiatrist. Psychiatrists are actual medical doctors. Therapists, they can have a PhD, but they're not medical doctors. They can the psychiatrists can treat, give medications and all kinds of stuff like that. A psychologist can recommend that to a psychiatrist. So it's just best for you to get the best help that you can. You can't depend on your family members to just sit there and to listen to all the stuff that you have. That's not fair to them, because as soon as they don't listen, as soon as they don't operate the way you believe that they operate, then you cussing them out and calling them all.
And then the thing with that too is you don't, for lack of a better way to put it, you don't shit where you eat. And that's where I had a problem with what Gucci Mane's wife said. you cannot get therapy from or be healed from someone that knows your triggers and your weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
That is the worst possible thing you can do to yourself and to them.
Sounds a little Munchausen-ish.
Right, Munchausen by proxy mixed in with, because you're literally handing someone the AR-15 and the ammunition to use against you. And it's not always overt where they'll say, oh, well, that's why you got bipolar, or that's why this, that, and the third. That's why that's what happened to you. It's very rarely that way that someone will weaponize your mental health. It's very rarely that way. What it really looks like is, oh, I don't want him to go out tonight, so let me say this or do this to get him to act this way. Or
yeah, because you know his triggers. You already know his triggers.
I don't want to do this. I don't want him to do this, or her. I don't want her to participate in this. So let me say this about it, or use this angle, or frame it this way to get him or her to not want to do this. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
That's how that plays out.
That's manipulation. Yeah, that's that level of manipulation, because women and men do that all the time. If you're talking about going out somewhere, a man will men will say, oh, don't you have kids? Why are you going out and stuff like this? You have kids.
When weren't we supposed to do this, or they agreed to let you go out or let you do this thing or participate in this thing, but then somehow you ended up so busy that day, they found so much other stuff for you to do that day that you end up running late or feeling like you don't want to go anymore or do it anymore.
Or if they have to go with you and they see that you're getting attention that they don't believe that you should have, they will sabotage the whole date, the whole experience,
or make it about them.
I have been on Danny. I have been out with friends, and because you have these girlfriends that once they get a man, it's my man, and my man has to go with me everywhere.
My man.
And they go, and then when the man, they're used to you putting all this attention on them. And then when someone else, it doesn't matter if it's another man, it doesn't matter if it's another woman, puts any attention on that person, then they'll ruin the whole night. It doesn't make any sense. I remember going out to dinner and we're all having a good time and everything like that. As long as the conversation centered around what he was doing, where he was at, and what is everything was fine. He would participate when it became something, but when it came to that woman of his, and somebody accomplished, because she had done some, she had gotten some kind of award or something at work, and she was very proud of it. And we were just like, you go, girl, all this other stuff. And what do you think you're going to happen? Is this stuff? Are you going to move into the new position that you want to do, stuff like that? He got to call the waiter over. I just didn't enjoy my food.
It'd always be something like that. Or on the flip side, the woman will do something like that.
Yeah, and it was just like, what are you talking about? We all got our food and everything like that. You done ate 3/4 of it. Because if you didn't like something, you don't eat 3/4.
You would have took the first couple of bites and been like, yeah, come get this.
Yeah, you would have been this, and then you make this whole big deal, and then it's to the point where all eyes from other tables are drawn to our table because you're cutting up so bad, because you don't want her to be praised, and you're cutting up so bad till she says, well, you know what, let's just go home. We'll pay for it. Let's go home. And then you see him in the parking lot. He's just smiling and laughing and kikiing and all kinds of stuff going on. And we're like, yeah, I clocked that. I didn't, like I said, I didn't have the bandwidth to know the words that they say. But now that I do, now I understand that you were being very manipulative.
Yeah, a lot of manipulation. Or like if it's your event or your time to shine, like I said, it turns into it's about them. Or you can visibly see that they're not happy in the photographs, or they're forcing a smile because it's not about them.
Yes. All right, people. We do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Y'all, please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And everybody say thank you and bye-bye to Danny. And as always, people, bye-bye.